I'll call the meeting to order at 3:40. And the land acknowledgement, Peace River School Division respectfully acknowledges that the land on which we gather is located within the Treaty 8 territory, a traditional meeting ground and home of the ancestral First People, the Cree and Dene, as well as the Métis. We are grateful for the traditional knowledge keepers and elders who are still with us today and for those who have gone before us. We recognize the land as an act of reconciliation and gratitude to those whose territory we reside on or are visiting. Okay, and now we will just approve the agenda. The only agenda item is the Red Earth Creek school, new school plans. Sorry, I can't pull up my agenda on this computer. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I will so move.
Oh, okay. Wanda makes that motion. All in favor?
Aye.
I think I can see everyone. Yep, we are 7. Okay. Okay, Superintendent Thompson, can you give us a update on the Red Earth project?
Yes, Madam Chair, I certainly can. Good afternoon, trustees. The purpose of this meeting today, of course, is indeed to talk about the status of the Red Earth Creek School project, a project that's been in the works for quite some time with, unfortunately, some significant delays along the way. Last year, as you recall, the school was delayed by 1 year, basically because there were issues with the design and some of the planning, and as a result, there was some shifting in companies to re-examine plans, and that process took a fairly significant amount of time, and we ended up getting the disappointing news that the project was going to be delayed. However, we got back on track, and recognizing the 1 year delay, and you'll recall, because of that delay, the board met with MLA Williams and MLA Weeb out of Grand Prairie to talk about the need for some temporary washrooms to alleviate a significant washroom issue in that school, and that process unfolded. But because at that time they determined that the school was going to be completed sometime in the fall of 2026 or early 2027, that didn't materialize. So we were, the government officials pre-approved 5 companies for bidding. We attended the site. 2 of the companies showed up. Good conversations unfolded. Good tender packages were received. There was interest, I believe, from all 5. The tender package went out in, I think it was early December. January it closed. They selected. They had a bidder, the lowest bidder, and then informed us that everything had unfolded as expected, except that because the lowest bidder was over budget, they had to move it to the minister's office for approval, which is not uncommon. And in fact, the language at that time, our understanding of the conversation that unfolded at that time was that this is sort of standard procedure when the project is quote unquote over budget. It goes to the minister for final approval, and we had no indication that this project would be in jeopardy. In fact, in partnership with the local municipality officials, Brendan Powell reached out to us and wanted to do a broad-based communications blitz with the community. They were very excited, and they just wanted to share with the community exactly what the community was going to be getting vis-a-vis this new school. We linked up with an Alberta education official. They sent us pictures that we could include in the video piece. We had our communications officer meet, do some work, and that was sent back to Alberta Education for approval. So everything still going ahead, going through the process. So as last Wednesday, we would have been in a position to say, okay, this is inevitable. It's going to be approved. Shovels will be in the ground in April. Meanwhile, the municipality was making a move to relocate a building on the construction site that was occupied by Alberta Health Services so that we could clear the way, the town could clear the way for all the heavy equipment to go in and do the construction. Last Thursday, 1 week today, we were asked to attend a meeting at 2:00 in the afternoon. So we attended that virtual meeting with Alberta Infrastructure and other Alberta education officials. And at that meeting, we were shocked to learn that the Minister of Infrastructure, Minister Long, we understand, made the decision the evening before to cancel the project. And I was thinking initially the Minister of Education was involved, but then Joel, one of the guys on the call, confirmed that no, it was Minister Long who decided to cancel the project. And the reason was that the project was way over budget. And when we asked for clarity on that, we didn't get a firm answer, but we were informed that it was more than 30% over budget. So needless to say, Rhonda, John Chabelsky, who has been working with us on school construction projects, and myself, we were very, very disappointed and upset, asked some very pointed questions about, is this standard protocol? Do we expect that other schools that projects that come in over budget, will they be canceled as well? We talked about the northern factor and the cost to do extra cost to build schools in the northern region. They indicated that they do have a factor that they use for each community to add extra to the cost, but this was 30% over and above, or 30+% over and above that. They proceeded to say that the project is not canceled outright, that tender is canceled. They are now they're still committed to building the school, but it's going to be design build now, a totally different approach to building the school, and that it will likely delay the project by a further 9 months. Our calculation on it is that it's going to likely delay it by one more full year. So we had a long conversation back and forth on that. John and Rhonda and I shared, John in particular, shared major concerns with the design build approach because you lose control over what the ultimate shape and spaces within the building are going to look like. Decisions get made, concrete is poured, trusses are built off-site perhaps, and you don't even know what's being built until it all comes in to be assembled, and what gets assembled and the configuration of spaces might not be what you had, previously thought they would be. Now, that might be a little bit of an overstatement, but the reality is the process that we had followed and we've been involved in for the last number of years was and is the better process from the point of view of defining the space, the number of classroom spaces, the configuration of those spaces, how big they're going to be, and so on. Now we lose a bit of that because of the design build approach that they're moving forward with because they believe it's going to be much more cost effective. We don't know, what we do know is that costs continue to rise, and we don't know how much of a savings this will be. The other big risk in all of this, of course, is that we've partnered with the municipality. They've been fantastic partners. They've made financial contributions for bigger CTS spacing and so on in partnership with us. They've agreed to move the water and sewer lines at significant cost. And they've also agreed for the school to be attached to the existing community infrastructure, the gymnasium and the hockey arena. If for some reason now this 1 year delay challenges the municipality to the point where they say, you know what, we are not able to partner anymore, that would leave the school board having to go back to government to say, hey, we now need a school with a gym built on it. Building a gym for a school that size probably is in the $3 to $5 to $6 million range. So it would actually drive the cost up substantially. So long story short, after our very significant frustrations and a significant pushback to our colleagues, we did say, by the way, that for this entire process, we have not felt like we've been full partners in this. There have been long gaps in communications. We've had to reach out, say, hey, what's the status? And then we get, last December, we asked what the status was. We said, oh, we need to meet. And then the serious issue about being delayed a year came to us. We reached out about a week and a half ago to get the status, and then we get the invitation to a meeting saying that particular project has been canceled. I suppose some good news in this is the following. For the last little while, Alberta Infrastructure has been trying to build schools to meet status, and that's an environmental consideration piece, and it means a lot of extra features within buildings and a lot of extra costs. So this building in Red Earth, to meet the LEED requirements, the entire roof was going to be filled with solar panels. Huge cost and a huge issue for us down the road when that fails and roofs leak. Plus, the mechanical room was going to be huge compared to the space being built. All of that's off the table now. The new build will not have solar panels on the roof. The mechanical room probably will be smaller, but we would take the solar panels and the bigger mechanical room to see the project start now versus being delayed another full year. And there's no guarantee. They think that they might get somebody interested in the design build. Who knows? There's lots of projects that are on the books, as you know, 90 schools being built, and as trustees would know, Red Earth Creek might be one of those sites that companies say, you know what, why move our team to Red Earth Creek when we can have 6 projects along the way? So, Madam Chair, that's where it is. And I'll finish by saying this, and I'll ask Rhonda if she wants to weigh in to add pieces I've missed. In the conversation, they said the minister would be willing to meet with the board to discuss this if they so desired. I then asked the question, will that change the minister's decision? In other words, through the meeting, would he change his mind? And they said, no, that decision's now done. The tender process is null and void. And we're starting not from scratch, but we're having to start over. And I said, well, we would take it back to the board and let them decide if the trustees wanted to meet with the minister. Rhonda, if I missed something there or misspoke on something, can you just add further clarity for the board so they can debate this matter in a more informed kind of manner?
No, you really haven't. That was a really good summary of what happened. I think you've touched on all of the major points. Alberta Infrastructure, I think, is just wanting to know if it's the board's intent to meet or not, so that something could be set up, I think, as quick as possible. There was a phone call to me by one of the infrastructure people asking that question, so that's all I have.
So with this design build, will it work from our?
Okay, Wanda had her hand up.
Sorry.
Go ahead,
Thanks.
Wanda.
Well, I'm just wondering, so the Red Earth Creek School, the plan that just got canceled, would that school have belonged to Peace River School Division, or was that a new build that would have belonged to Alberta government?
I can answer that. Because of the timing of the announcement of the school, the building will still belong to Peace River School Division. It was the year after or 2 years after the announcement of construction funding that rule changed. So it will be Peace River School Division school.
Okay. Thank you, Rhonda. Go ahead, John.
Will we maintain our same blueprint for the new design build?
You want me to talk about that, Jeff?
Yes, certainly. Rhonda, you can start that and I'll add a piece if I need to. Go ahead.
From the meeting that we had last week, the intent is the new prime consultant, prime, whatever they're going to bid, send out tenders for, will use the basic footprint of the school, but because it's a design build, so the number of classrooms will remain the same. There will be a crush space where the office is. All of the main rooms will be included in the design. But depending on who gets the contract to actually build the school, some dimensions will change based on building materials that will be brought in to construct the building. So it won't be fully designed until the school's almost done.
Yes, and that's the risk, I suppose, Madam Chair, if I could add this one piece before the other trustee will ask a question here. That's one of the big risks. Now, with the process that we had in place, we knew exactly the size of each classroom and the dimension, how long and how wide, how much mill work was going to be inside, storage and wall space and so on, windows, all of that was laid out clearly. With the design build, there's a risk of not knowing that until really, really late and to over exaggerate it a little bit. Let's say the company that bids on this and wins it. Maybe this is not entirely accurate, but to help illustrate a potential risk here. Let's say they build apartment buildings in another part of the province, and they have lots of truss and concrete and other materials on hand already. So they put a bid in on this because they have materials that they already have available. Now they have materials that they're going to fit into the design for the school, and therefore that's why you lose some of the possible controls over what actually gets built and the shape of it, because a design build is intended to be cheaper, because you hope that companies that bid are companies that already can get access to materials, whether it's concrete that's poured at a plant somewhere down south that's cheaper than if they had to do it on site and all that stuff. And yeah, so there's extra risk for the board. And that's one of the points I think that would be important to raise in a meeting with the minister, that a design build process is not our preferred approach. There are risks associated with that, and what guarantees can we have that the Peace River School Division will be true partners in this from beginning to end, and have substantial influence in the shape of spaces, where they're located, and how the shape and space and location affects overall flow within a K-12 building, K-6 students, 7 to 12, in relation to common core spaces.
Go ahead, Marie.
You're muted, Marie.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask too. It's one thing to delay it 9 months and to take away the panels and whatnot, solar panels and stuff, and the furnace rooms. But what else will we lose, or how soon will you know that, and how do they know that the next bid won't still come in over 30%? Then what? Or 20%? Then what's going to be the solution?
Yeah, Madam Chair, if I could, that's exactly, we raised that point with them. Like, costs are going up, not down. And yes, they might end up through this process, get a slightly better price, but the end product might not be as good as we would have wanted. And they kept saying that there's not, we said, well, we're back to the drawing board. They kept saying in the meeting, no, we're not back to the drawing board. There's some of this work can be salvaged and move forward to inform the project with the new bidder, whoever that company is. But it's certainly a major step back. And even if it's not starting from scratch, it's starting way back, from where we were, because you work on agreeing on space, then you get more details, and eventually you get 60% drawings, and then 90% drawings, and you get renderings of the building, and you get an opportunity to reshape that and say, well, can we put more windows in the front of that building? All and the slope of the roof and so on, all that is out the window now, and has to be back on the table. So it is if not a start from scratch, certainly puts us way back many steps in the process.
Well, and the biggest thing is now, if in 9 months or whatever, that throws you out into the middle of winter, so they can't start nothing until next spring.
You got it. So that's why, Madam Chair, they said it's a 9-month delay, but it's actually going to be a year delay for the reason that Trustee Dick just pointed out, that we're into April now. I would imagine that, a process will start to unfold shortly. So let's say things unfold really quickly, and they appoint another firm in May, and that firm starts to work with us, and they get some things ironed out. So they iron things out, and they get equipment on the ground there in October, let's say September or October. They prepare the site. They're not going to get steel stuck and brickwork done and have that closed in for winter construction. So really, you won't be into full bore construction in all likelihood until next year this time, which means a 1 full year delay.
So I had reached out to the Deputy Reeve of the MD of Opportunity, Brendan Powell. We talked this morning. Just to see, obviously, I knew how he was feeling, but just to have a conversation to see he knew we were having this meeting and just wondering what his thoughts were. He is on board with whatever we want to do. He's willing to be part of it if we want him to be part of it. He's trying everything he can on his county side, but he's kind of in the same place we are. Just a lot of frustration, a lot of disappointment about, all the government wanted was a partnership and with the county, with the school division, and we gave them money, we gave them partnerships and time and effort getting this school to where it was. And now the thoughts of not getting the school that the community deserves is pretty disappointing to say the least. So that's where he was at. So we were going to make sure we keep each other up to date on anything we hear on either side.
I absolutely agree. He should come to the meeting because he can speak to the work that the county has put in.
Yeah.
And everybody else agrees that would be.
And he also said they have a report, because we of course talked about the state of the school that the current students are in, and the county actually has a report from, I don't know if they did it last year or the year before, because they had looked at taking over the old school if it was viable. And so it sounded like it was an interesting report of current conditions. So that might be something we can touch upon in a letter. So I guess at this point, I think we're all on the same page. We want to meet with the minister, have that initial, and figure out where to go from there. Especially, obviously, the minister wants to have the conversation. I think until we have that, we're just speculating on maybe some of this. And I don't know. That's where I'm at. Go ahead, Wanda.
Well, I'm wondering about the bathrooms now. So they said, well, don't worry about the bathrooms because we're building a new school. So what's this?
Well, yeah.
So now are they going to step in and do something? Because that school should not be stuck for another year with a substandard. Well, seriously, we've been
advocating for the bathrooms since I've been on the board. So this was just a second attempt at the advocacy. So not to say they're not going to do anything, but history has shown. Go ahead, Rhonda.
It will be capital planning at Alberta infrastructure or at Alberta education that would make a decision on the washrooms. So this meeting would be with the Minister of Infrastructure, but we will have to go through Alberta education to put in a request for those washrooms.
But we could certainly mention it to the minister. I say, yeah. So what kind of motion do we need, Lucy?
Well,
sorry.
I think that Martin Long, the Minister of Infrastructure, was probably told at some point in time, or had to cut back on the 98 schools or whatever's going on because the province is producing a huge deficit. So what are we going to do? And he probably went through the file and said, oh, Red Earth Creek, yeah, that'll only affect about 20 people. So let's get rid of that one. And went through the file and got a few more. And I believe that it's probably right if we have a meeting with him. It's probably never going to get back on track. We're probably still looking at another year. But I think that we need to have a meeting with him to say we're more than 20 people and we're all of voting age and you pissed us off.
And this is what the kids are in right now. Like, educate on that, I think.
Right now. And we did it all right. We did everything that we were supposed to do. When they said, suck it up with the bathrooms, we said, okay, we'll do that. Our kids will live with it for another year. No problem. We had all of the MLAs, including Scotland Sinclair, who's now not a part of caucus anymore, but everybody was on board. We had Northern Lakes College on board. They want to run classes and whatnot in their school. Everybody, we did what we were supposed to do. And it really frustrates me that we got shut down when there was probably other school projects that could have been shut down sooner. This is Red Earth Creek, and Jeff is 100% right. There's not gonna be people just clambering all over themselves to send their crews up to the middle of nowhere to build a school, right? So it's gonna be tough for us all the way around. And prices are not gonna be any better 9 months from now than they are right now. So I think we need to meet with the minister. He has to understand our frustrations. He has to understand that us voting people, how pissed off we are that they made this dumb decision that we really need a school in Red Earth Creek. Like, the school sucks, right? And you guys will get a chance to see that firsthand. And I think the minister should be invited to meet us in Red Earth Creek.
Yep.
Great.
So I guess at this point, we would motion, to send an invitation. Do we want to get into all of this, or do we want to, in the meeting, tell him, educate him? Do we want to educate in the letter, or do we just want to do an invite? And go ahead, Rhonda.
I think we can set up a meeting, and I think it probably would be beneficial to send a letter after the meeting.
Yeah, that's.
So
Yeah.
we can set up that meeting, because there's we can do that without having to send a letter, and then after the meeting, you probably want to send a letter.
Yeah, follow up.
Could we also separate motion or same motion, just to, for administration to compile back all the facts about Red Earth that we need to know?
A timeline, like a timeline and what time?
Yeah, timelines, current, issues.
Yeah.
Like, just so we're as prepared as we can be.
Yeah.
Obviously, you all will be there and be our support systems, but
Yeah,
the
Madam
more
Chair.
the more we know, the better.
Yeah,
Could we also,
go ahead, Rhonda.
yes, we can definitely do that. I think I don't think you need to put that in the motion, because
Okay.
we would prepare you for the meeting. So I think a motion to have a meeting and probably to invite any members of the MD of Opportunity that also want to be at that meeting.
So moved. And make it, add the letter in after, or what, as part of the motion?
You could probably do the letter have a follow-up conversation at the next meeting. Because it's hard to say what to write in a letter right now. So I think it would be a conversation after that meeting with the minister at the next board meeting, and then you could decide to write a letter and have a motion at that time.
Would it be out of turn to invite the Minister of Education?
I don't think so. I think that would be reasonable.
Because we're gonna go asking for him for other things. You know what I mean? I think it's reciprocal. What we're not getting somewhere, we're gonna.
Yeah.
It's affecting his ministry as much as it's affecting infrastructure ministry.
Yeah, I think that would be fine, Madam Chair. And if they decide amongst themselves as two ministers that it's better for Minister Long to meet with you and not him, that's a decision they can make, but it would make sense to invite both of them. And did I hear you say, Madam Chair, that I heard a couple of people say that it would be good to request that a meeting occur actually in Red Earth Creek. And if that is the case, there's a trustee tour in Red Earth Creek on the morning of April 30th. So and it's a 2-hour drive from Grimshaw. It's getting more daylight in the mornings and so on now, but if we could, if you look at that, if that's what you're planning to do, we can reach out to see if the minister would be willing to meet, or the ministers be willing to meet in Red Earth Creek on that day, and see what, or do you
If they're willing to come to Red Earth, we will meet them whatever day they are available.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. So the
Go ahead.
request would be for the ministers to meet with the board in Red Earth Creek at a time that's at a time that they're available, and then we can work out the details on your behalf through our contact with Alberta Infrastructure and Alberta Education, if that's what you want.
In conjunction with the county. Too. Yeah.
Yes.
So if they're
Maybe-
not able to meet us in Red Earth Creek, then what's the other option to do it online?
Realistically, it'll probably be online.
Okay.
I
The
think.
other, sorry. I think it's important that we let them know that the board is so frustrated or so concerned
Mhm.
about this announcement that we're heading full slate to Red Earth Creek ourselves to meet and talk with the people that are up there in the school and try to find out what we're gonna do now that it's been extended a year. What's our pathway forward, particularly with the washrooms and all that. So if he knows that we've heard this from them, we're collecting ourselves and heading up at our first opportunity to the community, and we'd like to meet him at that same time, right? Because it's important to us.
Yeah, I agree.
And even if the Minister of Education doesn't end up coming, we can invite him. But if Minister Long hears enough about the bathrooms and whatnot, particularly if he actually makes the Red Earth Creek, I don't think it'll be any problem to have him go back and convince Nicolaides to put the money forward for the bathroom.
Yeah.
Can we take pictures to put on our screen of the bathrooms?
If he's coming, it don't matter, right?
But if he's not coming, she probably won't.
It's those bridges, I guess, when we get there.
Yeah, I agree, Janet. We should at least have pictures to show them. If they can't come and meet us in person.
Madam Chair, that could be arranged certainly if there's a virtual meeting, could just have a slide deck ready and just pop up a couple of pictures that you want to use as you speak about the issues and the concerns.
Mhm. And then the follow-up letter as well.
Yes.
The other thing, sorry, Lacey, but the other thing that we should do is, and I did this a long time ago, but have somebody, maybe Shane, for somebody from school operations to go through the building code book and find out that how many bathrooms you need for 100 students, because it's more than what we have.
Exactly.
So if we have
Mhm.
in the building code that we're not meeting code currently with our bathrooms, that might be pushed out a little faster too.
And if Brandon could supply us with that report that shows us the deficiencies in the schools that the county had done, that would probably be very helpful too.
Marie, did you put that motion on the floor? It's long.
Yes, I did.
Yep. Do we have any further discussion? Or Chris, do you need any further clarification?
I don't think so.
I think we all understand.
If he's not available on April the 30th, we'll meet with him when he is available.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, it can be put that there's a previous arrangements to be there, but we are open to any possible dates.
Yeah.
So, okay, are we all comfortable, ready to vote?
Yeah.
Okay, all in favor of inviting the ministers to Red Earth? Wanda, sorry, I can't see you. You're good, Wanda? Does she have her hand up? I can't
Yes,
see her.
yes.
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 I don't have enough screens. Perfect, we are 7. Okay, that was our only agenda item, so if I could have a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll do that.
David motions, all in favor?
I,
We're
So Madam